Greetings everyone, and here's a little rundown of some other weird things I made since the last video where I showed off weird things that I'd made. So last time I showed you these guys, which still don't have a home, and this sort of skull crown made out of a super glue lid warband. I made these guys quite a long time ago, but I've rebased them to add into this little project. I've got some little some Farmyard familiars to go along with that warband. So there we have a chicken with human feet, and that's been impaled a lot. There's also a pig that lives inside a bigger bit of pig and is nailed in there. I have a duck. I have a weird dog bird creature. And last but not least, I think this is I think it's a cat plus a goose. Again, with the spikes and sort of barbed wire that runs between them. If you get some like sewing thread, sort of stuff, and you run it between, these are kebab skewers, I think. These are spikes, are a bit big for cocktail sticks. And then just glue it and paint it. It sort of naturally unravels and actually makes really good 28mm scale barbed wire. At least I think it does. It's very quick as well, much better than having to twist wire around wire. Those are the Farmyard familiars, and they go along with some, what I was calling town guards. So I've got 3 town guards here. As you can see, they match the aesthetic of the duck with the block head. This guy has a shield with spikes through it, and he's wielding a plesiosaur as a weapon. So I made these a very long time ago. I couldn't tell you exactly how long, but I've just rebased them to join in this project because they were sat on a shelf and not getting any love. So we have some town guards. I also expanded the town guards, and I've added 3 more. So we've got these are works in progress at the minute, but here's a hero to join them, same spiky shield. And then 2 more. Yeah, spikes everywhere on the desk now. And then 2 more, which are basically copies of what you've already seen. So I've got them in the works. So I rebased all of that lot to join in this project. And I think I made some computers. You will have seen a lot of this already if you follow me on Instagram, but if you don't, and my blog, I'll put these on the blog already. So I added some computers in. I don't really know what's going on here. I just wanted to do something weird. One of my favourite guys, especially on Instagram, is Mold. And I was kind of inspired. I think these guys can be more like objectives in a scenario. I think they might be sort of, you've got to escort one of them from point A to point B. I had this idea in my head that they incessantly beep, and you have to take like morale checks or whatever, otherwise you might accidentally turn on them and start killing one of them. So there's the 3 computers. Then I made the meat heroes, I think it was. So I've got 2 meat-based heroes here. I don't really know what's going on. It's a hull of a tank with a skull on the front and spikes for eyes. I've got 2 train figures just sat on the back. It was a chimp. Put a block on its head, then glued the top half of a knight to that. Obviously fed a tube from the chimp's ass to the knight's face, because he subsists on the chimp's farts. There's a Celt warrior, I think, just sat on the back of the chimp, just keeping an eye out of any attacks coming from behind. And that's sort of it. And he's got a big sort of meat slab axe with bones sticking out of it. So that was that's one. That was the meat. Yeah, your combat hero, and then I wanted a meaty wizard. So this is another knight, but with a hippo glued on top. Again, we fed the tube out of the hippo's arse down to this guy's face. Here's another train figure. So he's being subsisted on by the hippo's farts, not the actual knight himself. But I think they are part of the hippo, obviously. He's just got a very basic black disc on top of his staff, whatever that means. And we've got our little meaty baby with a weird sort of clown face. So that's our meat wizard. Then the eyes. These are like stick-on, they're like half pearls that you stick on. And then I sort of became obsessed with the idea of covering things in eyes as a result of this. So then I started on the a warband, and the idea was they all had big hats. So we've got this guy sort of led the way. I took a lot of cheap knights and then just using like EVA foam shapes, which you probably spotted a lot already actually, just to make extra bits. So his sort of weird circular hammer thing is just, you can even see how bad a job I did there. It's just EVA foam circles stuck together, and his hat is a circle cut in half, one for the front, one for the back, on his back. And then obviously had to paint eyes on all their faces. So I chopped their faces off and put the same sort of half sphere pearl things, and then painted over them so they have eyes. The big hat gang, they started taking on a bit of an Aztec thing. Initially I thought it was a bit Napoleonic with the hats like that, but then just the paint job, and then especially the leopard print on the shield. So I imagine they've got a pyramid somewhere where they store all their massive hats. This is a same base figure but different guy. So there's that guy. Obviously, if you're a good enough leader, you can have your hat encrusted with jewels. So that's what this guy's got going on. And just a couple more for this warband. We've got another guy with a big spear. And then our 2 leaders, we have our wizard baby that's riding an elephant. Obviously big hat, bloody skull and a stick. 2 train figures, it's like followers. I don't know what's going on there. Obviously magical runes all over his hat, which a lot of them have for protection, of course. And then sort of our champion, he's riding an elephant as well. Bigger hat than anyone else. The elephant's got eyes in its ears, a leopard print shield. You know, standard stuff. Standard stuff for this warband that I made. A big craft foam circle made a great saddle actually. So there's a little tip for doing cheap and nasty stuff. So I made the big hat warband, and I think, oh no, they have. I wanted a monster to join them. I stuck with the eye aesthetic. He doesn't have a big hat, unfortunately, but here is our dinosaur. I guess the penguin's a hat, or the penguin's the rider. I don't know. Just sort of ignored the baby's face and glued eyes all across its forehead. And then where the neck of the baby joined the neck of the dinosaur, I thought, oh, I'll just stick a sort of mouth there. And it's obviously not a natural mouth. It's just sort of grown out of the cavity that's there. And dinosaur tail chopped off for a tongue sticking out. You can get fake resin teeth off of Amazon, so that's what all the teeth are. And other than that, it's just a dinosaur with a baby's head and a penguin. So that's sort of the monster from the jungle temple that all the big hat men hang out at. And he protects their treasure of lots of hats. So that's him. Now I think everything is work in progress. I started making just some shape men. I wasn't sure if I was going to add these into another warband, but they, of course, EVO foam shapes overnight, and they've all got jetpacks made out of glue lids. So there's 3 of them. A circle guy, triangle guy, and square guy. Maybe they could be like heroes, you know, form a special team like the Power Rangers or something. So that's them. I started working on, I wanted some terrain that was as equally mad as all this stuff I've been making. So I just started making like bush bases, like you'd see in lots of war games, just out of some skeletons I had in a drawer. So they're just bits super glued to a wooden disc with a washer on top for weight, and then super glued these on. Absolutely plastered it in my texture goop just to hold everything in. A glue gun would be a far better option. I would not recommend using super glue for that. And then the last thing to show you is a couple of shoggoths. With bags of army men, you tend to get like a mound of plastic crap, which is sort of terrain but sort of isn't, because it's not usable for anything. But I had all these eyes, which I'd bought, and I hadn't got a use for them really. They're a bit too big to stick on anything else here. So I just started super gluing to the mound of plastic. Again, these are all bits of dinosaur, toy dinosaur tails. Super glued all of that together and then just filled all the gaps in with my own texture crap. So I'm not sure what colour I'm actually going to paint him. I think shoggoths are actually black, but that might not be particularly interesting to look at. So there's that one. And another one. I've started painting this one. I was thinking flesh colour is the way to go, but I don't know. Answers in the comments. I think flesh is probably the creepiest. But green is probably a good go-to. Yeah, I might do them green actually. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. So that's the kind of madness that's been going on here. Rules wise, I suppose it would make sense to pick up a rule set. But in the blog post I did, I was just thinking, well, I don't know if I want to stat any of this stuff up. You know what I mean? You get a stat line and then this all seems quite esoteric and strange. So I'd like something mechanically that's very strange, maybe abstract, something weird. If you've got any ideas on that front, let me know as well in the comments. I've got plenty of sort of skirmish games that I've written myself and that are just sort of famous, you know, Song of Blades and Heroes, I haven't got like Mortborg or Forbidden Psalm, but I think I've got Frostgrave knocking around. And just various things that could be adapted to it, you know, old Age of Sigmar stuff, old Warhammer stuff, etc. But yeah, if you have any ideas on that front rules-wise, let me know. Otherwise, I'll go mad trying to create the exact perfect war game, which probably doesn't exist. But anyway, yeah, that's my update. I'll do another update if I make loads more madness. And I'll see you when there's been a substantial amount of progress, or I get distracted again and start a completely different project. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.